There are many scary mysteries out there that remain unknown. True horror stories that are still waiting to be solved years or even decades later. These strange but true stories have a dark history that needs more debunking, but the scariest mysteries in the world often cannot be fully explained. Number 5. On the 28th of September 2019, residents of Lena and Angie in Cincinnati witnessed what they thought was a scary mystery. But the bizarre incident has now been turned into a mostly solved case. In the strange mystery, a video taken by witnesses shows 3 lights hovering in the night sky in what appeared to be either a formation or the outer rim of a craft. As the lights moved from left to right on the screen, the 2 lights on the left-hand side fade and eventually disappear altogether. The mysterious events continue as the 2 lights reappear and seem to fall in behind the first light, forming a straight line formation and then a circle. Towards the end of the clip, only 2 of the lights remain, and they start to descend to the ground while rotating around each other. They fade away and disappear, adding even more mystery to the strange but true sighting. But despite many people believing that Cincinnati had been visited by an extraterrestrial craft, the solved mystery isn't quite as exciting. It would later be revealed that they were caused by skydivers who were performing a pyrotechnic show over the LaSalle High School in honor of the school's homecoming game. The skydivers had been falling in formation with flares strapped to their heels, creating the illusion that a craft was passing through the night sky. But thanks to the observant residents, it quickly became a solved mystery for most. However, some believers do not recognize this explanation, and so the internet mystery continues. Number 4. In the early 1900s, an ophthalmologist named William Wilmer was called upon by a couple who were living a strange but true horror story, and with his help, the scary paranormal mystery was solved. A husband and wife known only as Mr. H and Mr. G had settled on a home that had stood empty for nearly a decade. Mr. H was happy that it was on the sunny side of the street, but despite plenty of natural light, the house was always inexplicably cold. Soon after they moved in, they started noticing other mysterious events happening in the house. Mrs. H stated that they had only been in the house for 2 days when both she and her husband started feeling depressed. They could not explain why the house had grown unnervingly silent, and when the furnace broke down, the house got so cold that they decided to have their children stay elsewhere. In one scary story, Mrs. H woke up to the sound of footsteps coming from the room above her. She jumped out of bed and ran upstairs, only to find the room empty. She checked the adjacent rooms on that floor, but the mystery only grew stranger when she found that she wasn't alone. After the furnace had been repaired, the couple's children returned to the house, but soon after, the entire family started feeling sick for unknown reasons. Mr. G added that he was often sat at the dining room table at night while he ate fruit, but in this house, he always felt that someone was watching him while he was seated there, and he resorted to turning his chair towards the hallway. Mr. G had also heard ringing bells, someone knocking on the doors, pots crashing to the floor, and inexplicable footsteps throughout the strange house. On one occasion, he was approached by a woman with dark hair, but as she disappeared from his sight, he realized that he was left looking at his own reflection in a mirror. But if this was in their mind, then other things, like their plants constantly withering despite an abundance of care, could not be explained by ghost stories. As their paranormal stories grew day by day, they discovered the house had a dark history. The previous inhabitants had experienced the same scary encounters. They originally asked Wilmer for help when members of the family began developing eye problems. After careful research, he found a similarly scary story where fears of a haunted house were actually caused by a gas leak, which can also cause the same kind of distorted vision that they were experiencing. After searching the property, he found the furnace had been leaking toxic doses of carbon monoxide into the house instead of up the chimney like it was supposed to, and this was causing the family to feel ill and have hallucinations. When the furnace was fixed, their real-life horror stories came to a close. The scary mystery had finally been debunked with the research of a brilliant doctor. Even though these were paranormal stories like they thought, there is still one horrifying component of this mystery that has never been solved. The doctor theorized that the children, being so small, had only one more night to live in that house, at most, before they would have succumbed to the carbon monoxide and not woken up. Thankfully, they solved the mystery in time, and whether or not this one more night to live theory would have come true will forever remain unknown. Number 3. A strange but true phenomenon known as the Paulding Light was first seen by a group of friends in Paulding, Michigan in 1966. The teenagers spotted a mysterious light in a valley close to Robbins Pond Road, near US 45. And since then, the Paulding Light has attracted many visitors, as it is visible almost every night. Several urban legends claim to be the source of the Paulding Light, ghost stories mostly. In one version, the Paulding Light is described as an eerie glow cast from the lantern that a railroad worker once carried when they had their life ended, trying to prevent a collision. In another version, the railroad worker lost his life in a murder mystery that has never been solved. Sometimes the lantern is said to be carried by the ghost of a grandfather looking for their missing son. A final urban legend suggests a mail carrier once mysteriously disappeared, along with their sled that was pulled by dogs, hence the phenomenon sometimes being referred to as the Dog Meadows Light. None of these scary stories have proven to be true events. Scientific studies into the Paulding Light date back decades ago, and the possible explanations are almost as numerous as the urban legends. Some say the unsolved mystery could be from swamp gas, but so far the most likely answer seems to be car headlights. During the 1960s, the highway was rerouted in a way that new traffic patterns would emerge right around where the lights would be distantly spotted. To further solve this mystery, students from the Society of Photo-Optical Instrumentation Engineers, Michigan Tech, divided into two groups. While one group recorded the exact minute and hour that they saw the instance of the lights, another group on the road recorded the times at which a car passed by. Sure enough, whenever the Paulding Light was spotted in the distance, a car was driving down the road at the exact same time. It seems this unsolved mystery had been solved when their special equipment determined that the brightness of the Paulding Light was on the same spectrum as car headlights. Heat rising from the pavement could further distort the light and give the appearance of it rising. Although the scary mystery of the Paulding Light seems to have been finally solved after nearly half a century, many residents claim the group did not see the real Paulding Light on that day, and that the experiment was a hoax. Thus, many feel the strange internet mystery has not been solved. Number 2. The dark history of the Bermuda Triangle, aka the Devil's Triangle, involves dozens of unsolved mysteries where ships and aircraft have inexplicably disappeared. The Bermuda Triangle runs along Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, a 500,000 square mile area that is the subject of many true horror stories dating back for centuries. In reaction to the Bermuda Triangle, Christopher Columbus describes in his travels seeing a flame of fire that crashed into the sea. Though theories now suggest this particular Bermuda Triangle tale could have been a meteor, his compass also mysteriously malfunctioned while exploring this place, a common trait in other reports. Though Columbus may have successfully navigated the Bermuda Triangle, many others did not. In 1918, the USS Cyclops mysteriously disappeared with over 300 Navy men and 10,000 tons of ore, and the ship was never recovered. No SOS signal was ever sent from the sea vessel. The dark history continued 23 years later, when two other large ships did the same. The Bermuda Triangle's many unsolved mysteries only continue. In 1945, 5 aircraft conducting air raid drills over the Bermuda had to bail at sea after their equipment malfunctioned. Further adding to the unsolved mystery, a rescue plane mysteriously disappeared while searching for them on that same day. Theories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle range from mythological creatures and time travel to more modern scientific explanations. Some scientists note that storms to the north and south of the area often meet in the middle. causing rogue waves that can reach up to 1,000 feet in height. This theory has been adopted by the National Ocean Service, who confirmed they believe the Bermuda Triangle disappearances were caused by massive waves. However, the US Coast Guard does not fully agree that this explanation solves this mystery. The US Coast Guard does not recognize the existence of the so-called Bermuda Triangle as a geographic area of specific hazards to ships or planes, according to an official response by the Coast Guard. And so one of the strangest and scariest mysteries in the world continues to remain unsolved. Number 1. Though many strange but true theories have emerged, the dark history of the ship called the Mary Celeste remains to be solved. On December 5, 1872, the Mary Celeste was discovered by a British vessel called the De Gradia. The ship had left New York 8 days prior with the intent of reaching Italy with cargo consisting of 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. It was found 400 miles from Azores, a region in Portugal. There were 3 feet of water in the bottom of the ship, but all 10 people were missing and a lifeboat had been deployed. 6 months of food was still intact, as well as personal belongings on board. The barrels of alcohol were empty though. For decades, various theories surrounded what has to be one of the most famous unsolved cases at sea. Sea creatures seemed unlikely as there was no signs of a struggle, and pirates would have taken their belongings and food. The mystery appeared solved when it concluded that unfavorable weather conditions contributed to the ship being abandoned. Since the cargo hold had been kept closed for 2 weeks due to bad weather, some of the barrels would have released vapors that leaked into the ship's hold. However, it's possible the porous wooden barrels simply leaked over time. Mary Celeste also had coal on board, and one theory is that the coal dust clogged the pumps meant to keep water out of the ship. With no way to measure the rate at which the boat was taking water, the captain may have been unable to determine if the ship was going to make the journey, and so they may have escaped in a lifeboat for the nearest land. Though this explanation makes sense, it's an unproven theory, and the mystery of what happened to the Mary Celeste remains largely unsolved. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.